Good morning. Welcome to virtual worship from Community Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I'm Reverend Meredith Garman, our congregation's minister, your worship associate this morning. I'm coming to you from the parsonage in White Plains, New York, and our guest service leader today is Reggie Harris, coming to you from his home in Middleburg, New York. We're delighted to welcome you on this fifth Sunday of summer with a waning crescent moon that will be new tomorrow. The days are getting a little bit shorter, but also still getting warmer. On the fifth Sunday of each season, we especially remember our fifth principle, the member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association covenant to affirm and promote the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. Whether you are nearby or on the other side of the world, thank you for being with us. We especially welcome our visitors today. If you are a first-time attendee and are comfortable doing so, we'd love for you to introduce yourself in the chat. The chat is also for reporting any technical issues. When you send a chat, check to make sure you are sending to all attendees and panelists, not just panelists, so everyone will see your message. And if you are visiting us this morning, you'll find the order of service on our website, CUCWP.org, along with our resources to help keep us connected during this time. Remember that if your audio isn't working, you can listen to the service by calling in by phone. That number is in the order of service, sent to you by email, posted also on our website. We have a number of ways you can support and care for our community. For July and August, we are sharing the plate with Meals for Hope Community Services, which runs one of the largest emergency food pantries in the region. During the pandemic, our congregation's hunger and homelessness team has been supporting Hope with weekly deliveries of dinner trays and lunch items prepared by our dedicated volunteers. Our collection will help pay for ingredients and supplies. You can contribute by clicking the donate button on our website or by sending a check to CUUC with Share the Plate Hope in the memo line. You can find our mailing address on the website. We are now able to take contributions via PayPal for your pledge, the Plate Share, Minister's Discretionary Fund, and the Benevolent Fund. Again, you'll find the donate button on the homepage of the website, CUCWP.org. Thank you for joining us this morning. It's an honor for us to make space together across the distance and through the screens that separate us. Each of our lights helps all our lights shine. Together, we keep the flame of community burning bright. If you have a chalice or candle in your home, I invite you to place it before you and light it as you say along with me these chalice lighting words. We light this chalice to affirm that new light is ever waiting to break through to illumine our ways. That new truth is ever waiting to break through to enlighten our minds. And that new love is ever waiting to break through to warm our hearts. The Council of Nicaea in 325 was bad news for Unitarian Christians. Arius argued that the divinity of the Father was greater than that of the Son. Jesus was divine, was more than human, but was not God. This Arian Christianity lost out to the Trinitarian view that Father and Son were of the same substance, co-eternal, co-equal. But no matter which side had won in Nicaea, the effect of the council was to emphasize the importance of having the right doctrine and de-emphasize the ethics and values of living a Christian life. And that was bad news for the other side of our heritage, the Universalist Christians. Virtually from the beginning, some Christians had understood that everyone was going to heaven, universal salvation. They had biblical support. 2 Peter 3, the Lord does not want any to perish, but all to come to repentance. 1 Corinthians 15, for as all die in Adam, so all will be made alive in Christ. Romans 14, as I live, says the Lord, every knee shall bow to me, and every tongue shall give praise to God. Sure sounds like salvation was to be universal, but as Christianity pivoted to a doctrinal emphasis, universalism had to be squelched, because if we're all going to heaven anyway, it's hard to make the case that you only get in if you have the right doctrines.
Well, good morning. It is my pleasure to be with you this morning, and I bring you greetings from upstate New York. Well, we are all in New York, but well, not all of us are in New York. So I bring you greetings from upstate New York, and I bring you greetings in song. Our opening hymn is Wayaya. It is a song that was written by a group called Osibisa. They are a group that came from Ghana primarily. And they wrote this song years ago to describe a journey that really is very close to a journey that we find ourselves being on. The words, as you see in the script, say, we are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we'll know we're there. We will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we'll get there. We know we will. The chorus is one simple word. And I'll sing through the chorus one time so you hear it. And then I'm going to ask you to clear your throats this morning and sing along with me. There's lots of singing today. It goes like this. Wayaya, 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 wayaya. Let's sing it again. Wayaya, 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 wayaya. So very easy, right down the scale. Here's how the verse goes. We are going, heaven knows where we are going. We'll know we're there. We will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. And now you have heard the entire song. It's a very simple song with a very profound meaning. So why don't we sing that verse again? We are going, heaven knows where. We are going, heaven knows where we are going. We'll know we're there. We'll know we're there. We will get there. We will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. It will be hard. Oh, it will be hard, we know. And the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. It will be hard. Oh, it will be hard, we know. And the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. And now that chorus. Wayaya. 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 We will get there. Heaven knows how. And our hymn that follows is from a different journey. This journey comes out of the Hebrew scriptures. It comes out of the narrative of Jews who were wandering in the desert. And they were wandering, as we are told, for 40 years. And they prayed and they moaned and they complained and they searched for answers. And when my African American elders and ancestors heard of their plight, finding themselves in slavery, they also said, we are on a journey, and our journey really mirrors the journey that those people went on. And so they constructed a song in community, much as we sit here today, thinking about where we might be going as a nation and a world. The song is Go Down Moses. They were searching and seeking, hoping for someone to take them out of bondage and into freedom. And it's a call and response song, although you can feel free to sing along with me for the entire song. I know that many of you probably know it. The call is, when Israel was in Egypt land, and your response is, let my people go. Oppressed so hard they could not stand, let my people go. And then we sing together, go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land, tell old Pharaoh, let my people go. Thus spake the Lord, bold Moses said, let my people go. If not, I'll strike your firstborn dead. Let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go. No more in bondage shall they be. Let my people go. And soon shall all humankind be free. Let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go.
We acknowledge that which binds us in community through spoken and sung words that connect us to who we are. The mission of Community Unitarian Universalist Congregation was adopted in 2014. It is the promise, the vow, that all who are members here covenant to uphold. I invite you to say it along with me. We covenant to nurture each other in our spiritual journeys, foster compassion and understanding within and beyond our community, and engage in service to transform ourselves and our world. And now let us sing together a new aspiration song, In the Shelter.
Just had to unmute myself. This is a song that comes from the search for community. And it's a call and response, so you really don't have to work that hard. All you have to do in the chorus is sing back to me what I sing to you. Are you ready? Goes like this. In the shelter of each other, in the shelter of our lives, we are open, we are dreaming, we are hopeful, we are wise, Oh yeah, now that you have that, let's sing it again. In the shelter of each other, in the shelter of our lives, we are open, we are dreaming, we are hopeful, we are wise, Add harmonies next time. You know that many times the weight of the world crashes in. We feel angry and afraid. We start to lose our sense of hope, our sense of direction. The isolation we have learned will not bring much in return if we truly cannot learn to live as one. Here we go. Right in the shelter of each other, in the shelter of our lives, we are hoping, we are dreaming, we are hopeful, we are wise. You know that many times the pain of the world crashes in. We feel broken and betrayed. We start to lose our sense of joy, our sense of connection. And though our history remains, well, it's our actions we must change. If we hope to heal our planet, you know that we must stand. Here we go. Right in the shelter of each other, in the shelter of our lives, we are hoping, we are dreaming, we are hopeful, we are wise, we are hoping, we are dreaming, we are hopeful, we are wise, we are wise, we are This morning I thought I would share with you a responsive reading, and we're going to read this together for the very first President Bill Clinton inauguration. He asked the poet Maya Angelou to write a poem, and she wrote On the Pulse of Morning. And so this morning we are going to read together these words that encourage us to have a Sankofa moment, to look back so that we might find what we may be leaving behind that is useful to our community, and to bring it forward into our lives and into being. And so we read. History, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived, and if faced with courage, need not be lived again. Lift up your eyes upon the day breaking for you. Give birth again to the dream. Women, children, men, take it into the palms of your hands. Mold it into the shape of your most private need. Sculpt it into the image of your most public self. Lift up your hearts. Each new day holds new chances for new beginnings. Do not be wedded forever to fear, yoked eternally to brutishness. The horizon leans forward, offering you space to place new steps of change. Here, on the pulse of this fine day, you may have the courage to look up and out upon me, the rock, the river, the tree, your country. No less to Midas than the mendicant, no less to you now than the mastodon then. Here on the pulse of this new day, you may have the grace to look up and out, and into your sister's eyes, into your brother's face, your country, and say simply, very simply, with hope, good morning. To look into your sister's eyes, into your brother's face, and say simply, good morning. A new start, a new way of looking and being. In 1901, the writer James Weldon Johnson, writer, artist, he wrote these words as a poem. And in 1905, his brother Rosamond Johnson, he took them and put them to music. They have been known for this time as the Negro National Anthem, the Black National Anthem. So I share with you the first verse of that song this morning. Lift every voice and sing, till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicings rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has let us take just a moment and allow those words and the songs that we have sung this morning to resonate. Sankofa. I am so thrilled to be with you this morning. I'm here in upstate New York in a very beautiful area of the Schoharie Valley. I've lived here for 31 years. And even though I've spent most of my time while I've been living here on the road somewhere in America or somewhere in the world, it is a wonderful place to return to. I'm kind of in the middle of the woods, and when I moved here, it was in many ways a shock because I come from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania originally. And I moved here and I asked the person that we were buying the house from why they were moving, because it's a really bucolic and forested area. And she said, oh, well, our boys are getting bigger, so we need a little bit more space. But also, I'm just noticing that our road is getting so busy. We have 6, 7, maybe even 10 cars a day coming up this road. I thought, oh my. Coming from Philadelphia, which of course was just filled with noise, I couldn't imagine that 6, 7, 10 cars would be a really big problem. But now, having lived here for 31 years, I find myself kind of in the same reflection. But one of the things about moving here that was challenging was that I came from Philadelphia, a place of great diversity. And moving here to a mostly white, mostly conservative area, a rural area as opposed to urban, even before moving here, the challenge was, what will the folks think? Because we live in America. We live in a country that has had a little bit of problem about diversity. And this morning, as I come to you to talk about a Sankofa moment in which we find ourselves, Sankofa being a word that comes from a tribe in the area of Africa that is Ghana. I'm wearing this morning a garment that was brought back to me. I've never been to Ghana, but I've had many friends and family members who have gone there. And this was brought back to me actually by someone who lives here in this community. It's from Ghana. And I have reason to believe, because of Ancestry.com, that some of my DNA also comes from Ghana. So there's a distant tie, very much a Sankofa moment. Very much a looking back to look forward. I come to you this morning, and I don't need to tell you that we are living in a challenging time of change. And I found myself on the road traveling for most of this year, and then on March the 8th, I came home and I found myself, as with most of you or all of you, in isolation. I found that my isolation, enforced, as it were, because of the COVID virus, meant that I was going to be in this spot or locked in this community for some period of time. And immediately I began to think, what does this mean, all of this? The normal lives that we have been living were thrown into chaos. And as I often do, because in my work, so much of what I do is to address the issues of history and to pull them forward. I do a lot on the spirituals, those sorrow songs that Frederick Douglass talked about, giving African Americans a sense of place, a sense of hope, also the opportunity to acknowledge their devastation. I grew up with those songs all around me. I grew up with folks singing, "Oh Lord, how come me here? Oh Lord, how come me here? Oh Lord, how come me here? I wish I never been born." The sorrow songs. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. steal away, I ain't got long to stay here. The sorrow songs express the devastation of a people in bondage, of a people not in control of their future. And that was the frame that James Weldon Johnson was picking up. He was picking up that frame that African Americans have been trying to express since 1619, when that first slave ship sailed up the James River, when those 19 people were sold into slavery. To look at that time, locked, separated from their past. All they could bring was what they could remember in their hearts and in their minds. And so they began to put it in song. I grew up with those songs as part of my legacy and as part of my reality. And so as I go through my year and as I found myself here, locked in place, isolated for safety, I began to think. And that thinking began to produce some songs and some writings. But also, it caused me to think about Sankofa. Because we as a nation are definitely experiencing a Sankofa moment. We are filled with all kinds of messages on the airways about what happened in the past and what it means to us now. And we are having an opportunity to look back and identify some of those stories. And indeed, for many in this nation, I would say largely from most, it is a frightening time. We cannot see where we're going. We cannot see how we are going to get there. And anytime our uncertainty is devastated to that amount, obviously it's a trying time. It's a challenging time. Well, this week, as I've been thinking about coming to be with you, and I've been thinking about what it was, I would say lots of things happened. 2 weeks ago, I landed in an article in the New York Times. Some of you may have seen it. If you didn't, it's about a statue being toppled in Richmond, Virginia. The statue was pulled down over 3 weeks ago now. It was a statue of a man named Williams Carter Wickham. Williams Carter Wickham was a Confederate general. He was a state legislator in Virginia. He was also proud owner of 3,000 acres of land with his wife, Mary. And Williams Carter Wickham owned 257 slaves. One of those people in slavery that he owned was a woman named Bibana. And Bibana is my great-great-great-grandmother. Williams Carter Wickham had 6 children by one of his slaves, not an unusual thing in that past. And out of those 6 children, a new family was launched into history. Now, he had his own family, and he launched that into history too. So you have the Wickhams and you have the Hewletts. One family, really, but 2 families with very different narratives. I found out that I was part of this in 1992 when one of my relatives on my mother's side, Kay Bush Gray, did our family genealogy. She was inspired by roots, as so many people were. And she found out that our family began on a plantation called Hickory Hill. And she gave us that information in 1992. And we read the information, and I carried that information in my heart and my head for years. It wasn't until 2010, when I was teaching at a music camp, the Swannanoa Gathering, that at a moment's notice, when I needed something to share with a class that I was teaching, I decided to pull that information out of my head and to share that I had this connection back in slavery times with the master having children by one of his people in slavery. And indeed, I shared that information, and one of my classmates, one of my students actually, one of my students who I actually talked to yesterday came up and said, Reggie, you said that you're related to the Wickhams because the master had children by one of his slaves. I said, yes. She said, Reggie, I know the Wickham family, or at least I knew them well back in the day. She said, Lisa Wickham, I went to camp with a girl named Lisa Wickham. We became fast friends. I haven't thought of her in 30 years, but I know that family. This is extraordinary. I said, well, it's an amazing history. This is the history of America. This is part of our past narrative. And she said, well, I tell you what, I'm so intrigued. I haven't talked to Lisa in so long. I think I'm going to look her up. If I find her, are you interested in talking to her? And I said what I think most of us would say in that time. Oh, yeah, sure, that would be great. But I probably didn't mean it as much as I said it. Looking at our past can often be a very difficult thing. Looking at the lessons that we have to learn from that which happened in the past can be very unsettling, as we are also now finding ourselves, as we see great dissension in our country, as we see statues and symbols being taken out of rotation, and as we see the tension and the anger that that can produce, as people decide that they do not want to face this history. Well, I'm happy to say that that day, even though I'd forgotten about it, Fran Oates did not. She pursued finding Lisa. It took her a year and a half. And she found Lisa and she told her about me. She told her the story. And Lisa had an opportunity and a chance, a choice to make. She told to Fran, she said, I want to embrace this. Tell him I want to talk to him. Well, long story short, we made contact. We made contact and we met each other and opened a door. We had our own Sankofa moment. Now, the article in the New York Times chronicled not only my story and the story of two of my relatives, Clayton and Wallace, but it chronicled the difficulty that we are finding with opening this chapter into looking back and seeing what it is we find that needs to be brought forward. I come to you this morning telling you that the songs that we have sung this morning are all part of this journey. I want to remind you, and I have a list here of the songs looking back, that we sang Wayaya. We are going. Heaven knows where we are going. We will get there, but where will it be? We sang Go Down Moses, about those people who were wandering in the desert and the wilderness. And then we sang In the Shelter, because indeed, as the Gaelic saying that song was formed on says, in the shelter of each other, the people live. We are all responsible, whether or not we want to believe it, for each other. And as the Lakota Sioux say in much of their storytelling, we are responsible for 7 generations back and 7 generations forward. We are indeed going, heaven knows where. Lift Every Voice and Sing calls us to recognize that there is a past that has been difficult. The second verse of that song says, Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope itself unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat, have not our weary feet come to the place for which our elders sighed? We have come over a way that with tears have been watered. We have come, treading a path through the blood of the slaughtered, out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. The journey with Lisa took shape by leading us to the property on which our family had begun. Lisa and I in 2012 drove 25 miles out of Richmond, Virginia, to Ashland, where that property still is, and we took a walk on the land. And out of that, we opened ourselves to the Sankofa journey. And with that, I met other members of the family and eventually Clayton Wickham. Clayton's 28 years old. He's a very bright writer who just finished a master's program at the University of Michigan. And Clayton and I have begun to get very close. And so it was in that New York Times article that Clayton and I were speaking to the reporter, and Wallace, actually, his older aunt, she also added in. But Don Lemon of CNN saw that New York Times article, and he had one of his producers call 2 weeks ago and invited Clayton and I to come on a podcast that he's doing, Silence is Not an Option. And so last week, that podcast came out. And he talked to us about looking at and acknowledging the past. And then we talked about what our possible goals might be. Because as we know, when we look at the past, it's not just so we can find out what happened. It's so that we can learn what happened and then take the opportunity to make changes where we need to change. It's been a very interesting and challenging thing to watch our nation struggle with this Sankofa moment. It is for me both a public and a private matter. As we talked about in the podcast and in the article, we as a family are struggling with what all this means to us. And we as a family, black and white, are having to make some choices about how knowing what we now know will send us forward. And indeed, in this time, as we see our nation struggling with new information for some and truly old information for others, and trying to put those two together into some new narrative. As I said, the goal is not just to know. And we can't blame people for not knowing, especially since in so many ways, the narrative of this nation is unknown because the powers that be decided, even before America was America, that they were going to shape that narrative. Around 1677, those who were in charge, those who were powerful, those who had money decided that they wanted to separate all of us, black, white, Native American, and they wanted to form a narrative that gave them complete and utter control. And they've been selling that narrative for over 400 years. But we here, seeing monuments come down, seeing flags replaced, seeing old attitudes being acknowledged and analyzed, have ourselves an opportunity to take our Sankofa moment and to walk with each other into a new future. And it will be frightening. It will be scary. But as we talked on that podcast, Clayton said that he grew up seeing the statue of William Carter Wickham and feeling a sense of pride that this person in his family was important enough to have a statue. And yet when the statue, well, actually 4 years ago, Clayton and his brother Will wrote a letter to the mayor of Richmond, Virginia, and to the city council. And he said, we want that statue moved because this statue does not represent the future of America. So Clayton said on the podcast, when the statue came down, he felt a sense of joy. Well, all people aren't saying that in America. But I'm going to say this. There was a movie many years ago that came out in which Jack Nicholson was playing a character. And that movie, he uttered a line that has become part of the American narrative. He was asked to tell the truth, and he said, "You can't handle the truth." In this Sankofa moment, we are being asked, can we handle the truth? Can we handle the truth of our past and what has happened as a result of it? Can we handle the truth of who we are? And can we handle the opportunity to take those lessons and move them forward? On the day that I took that walk with Lisa on Hickory Hill, we decided that day that we could handle the truth. And we decided to walk together into a new future. As a songwriter, that was too much information to pass up. So I end this with a song that I wrote called Hickory Hill. At the end of this song, you are going to have an opportunity, if you so choose, to write into the chat some reflection, either on what I have said to this point or on hearing the song. I ask you to say to yourself, am I comfortable living in the space of not knowing? Or am I ready to embrace? They say that the truth will set us free. And indeed, this Sankofa moment in America is an opportunity to prove that true. I'm going to start that again. Barren fields at the horizon, ghosts of autumn catch the wind, memories of those saints and sinners gather round, haunt us once again. Now we finally here together, standing silent face to face. Secret family undercover, born of shame, saved by hope and grace. Hickory Hill, we're on a hallowed ground, walking side by side, wondering what we found. Hearts break open wide across the great divide. I can see the questions in your eyes now that we are home again. They celebrate the grand illusion, and they write it up for all to see. But in that mystery of confusion, there lies a truth that might one day set us free. So now our stories come together across these fields of broken dreams, and the blood that binds us all together is indeed much thicker than it seems. Oh, Hickory Hill, we're on hallowed ground, walking side by side, wondering what we found. Hearts break open wide across the great divide. Can you see the questions in my eyes? Oh, Hickory Hill, we're on solid ground, standing side by side, wondering what we found. Hearts break open wide across the great divide. Can you hear those demons as they die, now that we are home again?
So if you have a reflection to share with us, I invite you to type that into a chat, the chat. I will read those in just a minute. I'll begin by sharing my reflection. Thank you so much, Reggie Harris, for so powerfully inviting us to reflect on the past that makes us who we are, to see ourselves more clearly. Because if we don't actually concretely look at the past, then we will live our lives with a vague assumption about what our past has been. That vague assumption will tend to lock us into patterns that may not be the most conducive for ourselves, let alone for our neighbors. I was struck particularly by a song from the Gathering music this morning where we heard, there are things we say that we don't know that we say. And in recent years, many of us have been increasingly become aware that even though we were sure we didn't intend to do harm, sometimes our words may have been doing harm anyway. We were saying things we didn't know we were saying. And to find out what those meanings are, to become more conscious of what we are actually saying, requires a step back to a more accurate and more full picture of our pasts, how we got to this place. And I appreciated the subsequent lyric that there are things we feel we don't know that we feel. So part of this journey will involve that quest internally to see what really are the feelings we have going on ourselves. In our chat stream today, a number of you have written in. I don't know if I can handle the truth, but I am ready to try. Also, thank you, Reverend Harris, for the beautiful songs and stories. Reggie, your Sankofa moments touched me deeply. Yes, I am ready to listen, understand, and stand side by side with all of humanity. I'm not reading the source of these in case they don't want that said, but actually anybody that wants to see exactly who's making these comments can call up the chat. Also, you call us, Reggie, to take that walk into truth and relationship. Thank you, Reggie Harris, so much for sharing your music and your personal story. Truth and clarity can clear a chaotic path, and a clear path can bring not only fear, but also hope. Another comment, thank you, Reggie. I see more hope in the future, much more than before today. And thanks for the courage to reach out and help others reach out, and for writing about and singing the message so we can hear. Hickory Hill is the story that makes the United States the uncomfortable melange that it is. We are all descendants of both oppressors and oppressed. Now, we can know the richness of our actual histories and we can act to redeem our lineages for the benefit of our descendants. I am committed to that work. Blessed be. Thank you, Reggie, for the beautiful and inspiring songs and stories. Thank you for bringing us more about the past and for your soft challenge to work for change in the future. What will I write up for all to see? I continue to try to listen. Thank you for the help in the search. I feel sad for all the time I didn't know or appreciate the history, and also admiration for the grace and courage shown by those who have lived it. Thank you, Reggie. And with that, we'll turn it back over to Reggie. Thank you.
Thank you all for listening and for your comments. We'll take them in my heart and let us have this moment, just a moment of silence into prayer. Gracious source of light, gracious source of love, source of wonder and of truth. We are grateful for this time together and for the opportunity to embrace each other as community, to remind ourselves that we are not alone, that our journeys, though difficult, are supported within this community and in the community of those who deeply care about us and about the peace and safety of the world. We ask only that we can be connected more often to that sense of strength that will allow us to go forward. And in that, we are connected by our gathering. And so this morning, let us commit ourselves to opening our hearts just a little wider, even when the fear says no. Let us lift up our eyes and look in our brothers and our sisters' faces. Say good morning and say, I am with you. And to that we say, blessed be. One of the things that happened when I got home, after I got quiet, was what always happens when I get quiet. I started writing. And this song was inspired by the COVID-19 crisis as the world began to go a little crazy, with good reason. But in my heart, I remembered the lessons of the past, and I remembered particularly the lessons of the Civil Rights Movement. All of those brave souls, two of whom we just lost this week, C.T. Vivian and John Lewis. John Lewis, who said, get in some good trouble. And C.T. Vivian, who said, we are working together for something that is larger than all of us. And so with that in mind, my spirit produced this song. The words say, we will not rest till the storm is over. We will not lay this burden down. We will keep each other strong. We will love and carry on till we stand all together on solid ground. I'm going to sing the chorus twice for you. And and then we go. I encourage you to sing. I encourage you to clap. I encourage you to dance if you want to. It goes like this. We will not rest till the storm is over. We will not lay this burden down. We will keep each other strong. We will love and carry on till we stand all together on solid ground. We will not rest till the storm is over. Yeah, we will not lay this burden down. We will keep each other strong. We will love and carry on till we stand all together on solid ground. Been a long, hard journey on a winding road. So many have gone before us. They carried a heavy load, but they went there singing as they made their way. Now in their footsteps we follow as we work today. We will not rest till the storm is over. Yeah, we will not lay this burden down. Oh, we will keep each other strong. We will love and carry on till we stand all together. On, sing the chorus again. We will not rest till the storm is over. Yeah, we will not lay this burning down. Well, we will keep each other strong. We will love and carry on till we stand all together on solid ground. I know that you're weary. We all feel the pain. Sometimes the actions of the world will try your soul again, but I believe there's a better day, and it's coming our way. That's why we're raising our voices as we work today. We will not rest till the storm is over. Yeah, we will not lay this burden down. Well, we will keep each other strong. We will love and carry on till we stand all together on solid ground. All around us there's hatred. All around us there's fear. Violence touches our lives, and the message is clear. We mourn our martyrs. In our hearts they stay. Then we'll sing, we shall overcome, and go on our way. We will not rest till the storm is over. Yeah, we will not lay this burden down. Well, we will keep each other strong. We will love and carry on till we stand all together on solid ground. We will not rest, oh, till the storm is over. Yeah, we will not lay this burden down. Yeah, we will keep each other strong. We will love and carry on till we stand all together on solid ground. And now our benediction. It comes to us from Mahatma Gandhi. Carefully watch your thoughts, for they become your words. Manage and watch your words, for they will become your actions. Consider and judge your actions, for they have become your habits. Acknowledge and watch your habits, for they shall become your values. Understand and embrace your values. They will become your destiny.
we extinguish our chalice. Please say with me the chalice extinguishing words. As we have gathered, so we depart, to carry into the world who we are, people of free faith, seeking a deeper truth, people of love, resolved to build belonging.
Well, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Well, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Oh, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Well, now deep in my heart, I'm gonna let it shine. Well, deep in my heart, I'm gonna let it shine. Well, deep in my heart, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Oh, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Blessed be.